let's say you want to copy a piece of one of your, something on your creature, appendage or something, or a horn or a wing, and you want to like duplicate it and put it on the other side. Here's another method that you can, and you can also use this to cut just something off if you want to print it separately. Another method. So the first thing I need to do is duplicate my creature. I'm going to do that by clicking on it, and then I'm going to go down to the object mode. And notice that there's two. There's duplicate linked and there's duplicate objects. We want to do duplicate objects. We don't want them to be linked. So I'm going to duplicate this one and then drag it. It's kind of stuck to my mouse cursor right now. So I'm just going to kind of put it down. What does it matter where I put it, really? And now I'm going to zoom out a little here. And what I want is I want to cut off one of these horns. So what I'm going to do to cut off the horn is I'm going to click Add, and I'm going to go to the Mesh menu, and I'm going to click Plane. Remember that a plane is a 2D object, but what I can do with this is use it as sort of like a slicing tool. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it over, and I want it to be able to just cut off one of the horns. So I need to scale it by hitting the R key. Remember, that's the scale one. And then I'm just going to make it smaller. It doesn't have to be exactly the right size, but it needs to be small enough where it's only hitting the one horn. Okay, so that's pretty good, but now I also think I need to rotate it a little bit because the horn's at a bit of an angle. Do you see what I mean? So I'm going to hit the E key, and I'm going to rotate it. And now I think just W key, and then I'm just going to move it down. And I think that's a good place for it to be cut off. So I'm just going to check it from all sides for a moment to make sure that I've got the whole thing covered. It looks good. Front to back, it looks good. So now what I'm going to do is actually click on my creature. This is super important. You have to click on the creature itself and not on the plane you just made. Now, over on your right side, there's this whole menu of things. It probably looks a little bit like something like this right now. So what I want you to do is go over here and till your cursor turns in. If you go to the edge, it turns into a double arrow. Click and drag that out. There's a lot of stuff here. You don't need to know what it all is. But what you do need to do is find the wrench. This is called a modifier. And what I'm going to do is click Add Modifier. And on the modifier list, I'm going to click Boolean. Now, what this does is it allows two objects to interact with each other. So I'm going to select for the object, I'm going to select the plane. That's the one that I just added. Sometimes it takes a minute because it's doing some processing. Notice that it cut off the horn rather than instead of the opposite. So that's because my operation is intersect, but if I change the operation to difference, you will see the difference. So now you will see that it's done what I wanted. I want just the horn by itself. If I hit apply, so now it's applied. So if I click on the plane now, the plane I don't need anymore. It was just there to help me cut. So now what I'm going to do is hit the select button, and I'm going to, the object button, and I'm going to hit delete to make the plane go away. Sometimes I miss that little pop-up menu. There we go. And now I have this horn all by itself, and so now I can work with it. I could make a copy of it, I could mirror it, I could do a lot of stuff with it. So for instance, if I wanted to mirror it, I could go down to the object menu and I could click the mirror over here, and it says X mirror, Y mirror. Are these X, Y, Z, or global? You might have to experiment with these to figure out that was the wrong one. If I want to flip it so it's going to be the same, like the opposite, like a mirror image of my current one, let's try the X global. Ah, there you go. That's what I wanted. So the X global mirrored it. So now if I wanted to put this in the spot where that horn is, I could do that. Now the problem is I have a horn already existing there, so I'd have to cut that one off if I wanted to do that, which I could do with that plane method that we just talked about.